Microsoft. Sobo. I just got home and I worked really hard today. Man, I'd love to just fire up the flight simulator, feel the virtual wind between my hairs, take control of the ailerons in the world that you've made, and lose myself, immerse myself in such an unknown but yet familiar world and territory. The thought of slapping my headphones on, getting in the cockpit, and going bananas is driving me berserk. Give me a call back when you can. Love you.
So the new flight sim is out and people don't like it. That being said, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of the nerds who made it. And you make a flight sim. Where do you start? How do you do that? Props to them for making a sim in general, even though it's not perfect. I'm fairly pro 2024 if you can't tell. And I'll tell you why. But I do have some hiccups. Some issues that we'll discuss. So first off, I want to take you back to the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Here are some quotes from when that beautiful sim, which we're all fond of, came out. And I quote, "They said that this game was a flight simulator first and foremost. That's an absolute joke. Should have called it in early access and everything would have been fine." Does that sound familiar, maybe? Does that sound a lot like all of our gripes we have with this flight simulator? So I was gonna do a whole thing about how they released these sims in time for Christmas, essentially, to get the Christmas market, the Christmas sales. Everybody with their little gift cards and their little V-Bucks and Robux, which I do think Asobo and Microsoft accept for planes. 2020 was released on August 18th. So, with the same issues that were, albeit slightly different, i.e. Streaming, lots of the same issues, but it wasn't really a Christmas release, whereas I think this year's sim was. And I think a bunch of sweaty, nerd developers, sorry, but, you have to be to make a computer world. I don't think it's odd for me to call you a nerd. A good nerd. God bless you. You probably make great money. Anyway, I think that they were pushed to their limit to make this sim available for the Christmas we all just experienced. So, probably overworked. They probably weren't, well, I'm sure they weren't happy with it being released. They probably would have, tidied up a couple knobs and done their typing. I still don't know how computers work in general, and I almost don't want to know. So I'm sure that they were not comfortable with it being released when it was, but Microsoft, they're nerds too, but in a different way. They're like money nerds. They're like, I don't know if that makes sense. But let's go over some pros and cons, okay? We'll start with the pros. The environment. I think Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 absolutely nailed the environment. Very recently I bought Rex Atmos, I believe it is, the environment thing for 2020. Because when 24 came out, I was unhappy with it. I didn't play it, but I wanted that look for 2020. Atmos is a piece of dog poo-poo and pee-pee, if I'm being quite honest. As V1 Simulation says, Atmos is dead to me. But 24's environment, the shadows, not ray traced because I'm not a rich person with a 4090, but the normal shadows, the poor man's shadows, look great. The way they cast in the cockpit, like of an Airbus, you're taxiing and the shadow just flows over. Perfect. Absolutely wonderful. The sunset and the sunrises knocked it out of the park. It's not the same purpley sort of thing you get in 2020 every time, no matter where you're at in the world, with the little horizon line cutting through Mount Kilimanjaro. So 24 nailed that. Love the sunsets and the rises. The clouds look great. To be honest, they looked pretty good in 2022. So, they look a little greater. That's great. And the water. Again, looks pretty good in 2020, but this year just looks a little more wet, you know what I mean? Second pro is the movement of the sim. I don't know if I haven't heard anybody say anything about this, but the way the sim just moves is completely different from 2020. Like, I have the head tracking and I'll be flying and I look out the left window and it's just, the way it's moving is so realistic. I don't know what they did. It's still 60 FPS because I'm on a TV, but it just looks more real. I don't know how to describe it. Again, I don't know what things they typed in to make that happen, but I'm glad they did it. And the seasons. I like the seasons. I think it looks good. I know there's an add-on called like Bajan Seasons or something. I'll look into it later, okay? When I want to throw $13 at something when I get bored, I'll go look at that. But the stock right out of the box on release, season's pretty good. Let's get to the cons, which I'm sure a lot of you are excited about. Ground textures. That's a big one. Probably the biggest one. And with streaming, I'm not a nerd, so I'm not going to know exactly what I'm saying. I built a PC just for Flight Sim, by the way. That's all I use it for. The Wi-Fi that I have, I get like a gig of speed, and I have an Ethernet. So I just plug them direct, bonk. And still, the ground looked like garbage. And I thought, if it's streaming it, I've got a pretty good setup, a gig, you'd think it would be okay. But sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. When I say good, it's passable. But with a little program that from 2020 that I'm about to make a video on, the map replacement pro version, that fixes that. So we'll get into that later. One of the other big things is the performance on the ground. Something I cannot put my finger on in 2024 just blows my GPU's back out on the ground. I don't know how to describe it, but I'll try lowering settings. I try doing all this stuff. Nothing will fix that issue. It's like being on the ground is just socking my 3060 Ti and its, metal mouth and just beating it relentlessly. So I have a lot of issues using my FrameGen mod, which works amazing in 24, by the way. But my GPU is just done. It doesn't like the ground. Crashes, those aren't good. Both flying a plane and the game crashing. I think the plane one, you could say is more my fault, but that's, neither here nor there. Terrible traffic. The AI, sorry, my light's flickering on and on. The AI traffic was horrendous. I was at a gate parked next to a glider and a CJ at an international airport. So that's fun. We're just gonna have to deal with the layout. I don't want to stop. No marketplace. Again, this is all tied into, I'm gonna turn it on. This is all tied into getting it out before Christmas got here, before Santa Claus came. Why isn't there a marketplace? I don't know how this all works, and I'm sure everybody was just trying to make planes that somewhat work in the game that doesn't completely flop before, the Christmas season, but send some other guy on the marketplace. Let him go in his marketplace office and figure that out, because I feel like that's fairly essential to have. Even if it's barren and there's very few selection, like, I want a marketplace. Don't give me a marketplace. So that sucks. And little bugs all over the place. One that really grinds my gears is the liveries on the CJ. Just flickering after however many updates we're at now. Like, what, 2 or 3? But still, I feel like that takes 5 minutes. Again, I don't know how it works, but 5 minutes to make the livery not do what my light's doing and flicker, So that sucks. And on the whole Christmas rush that I'm assuming they were under, I think they did a pretty good job. Like, it's broken, it's you could argue it's a piece of junk, you could argue all kinds of stuff, the sim in general, but I mean, to be rushed and to make a flight simulator, that's pretty stinking cool, and that seems difficult to do. And if somebody rushed me, I would just cross my arms and I would go, no, I'm not gonna, I don't even know how a computer works. How do you want me to, Here's some little things that I don't think are quite cons, but I'm gonna throw them in a little bit. the walk around feature is A, annoying. B, I like that it's there. So I would like to use it when I want to use it. But the main reason that I would find useful for it, that I worded that weird, but I want to walk around the airports. I want to walk around third-party scenery. I want to go up the stairs into the fully modeled airport that's third-party. I don't want to walk into an invisible wall or straight through a building. I don't care to do a fake walk around. Like, yeah, it's cool. I like that you hear footsteps, but if you're going to do a walk around, let me walk around. But I believe that will be something that they'll do, because I can't be the only one that wants to walk around these expensive, beautiful third-party airports like Belfast and every other airport. That's just the one that came to mind. They spend so much time, and you spend so much money for that detailed interior, and I can't walk around in it with the walk-around feature and the walk-around simulator. That's ridiculous. Another thing I'm hopeful for is the planes from 2020 coming into 24. I thought it was going to be a lot quicker of a process. It's really not. It seems to be more complicated than I can possibly imagine, but I can't wait for that to happen, because I have so many planes that I want to bring into the new sim, and I check every day, and almost none of them have been moved over yet. PMDG, Just Flight with my Turbo Arrow, that was $40. But yeah, so we can crap on 24, going off the dome here, guys. We can crap on 24 all we want, and you'd be right to do so in a lot of ways. But also, if you love 2020, you can't then say that you're not, 2024 sucks. It's the same thing. It's the same circumstances where same issues, roughly, 2020 are happening here. They're going to get ironed out. They're going to get the kinks worked out. We're going to get all these new programs, all these new freeware stuff to download and figure it out and set it up the way we like it. It's just a baby right now. It's a little infant simulator, and it has a little passy in its mouth, and we're expecting it to do multiplication. It's like, give me a second to stretch my legs out here. Let me, learn to walk and learn to not poo my pants. With time, this sim is going to be far superior. And I think we all know that, but we still crap on 24 like it's the biggest piece of crap in the world, which it kind of is, but be patient. I guess my conclusion to this video is building a flight simulator is F-wording hard. Like, why are we just so dependent? Like, it has to be perfect. It has to be right here. It has to look at the way that it's made, the way that you have to make a simulator. That seems so difficult. So they're human beings. Give them time. They'll figure it out. The fact that we have what we have right now is astounding. Look at what we had 20 years ago. Look at what we had F-wording 6 years ago, at the difference in what we have now. So stop being a big baby. The sim will get amazing, and I think it's pretty cool right now. So if you're pooping on it, you're probably a big fat stinky loser, poof face, and also a dork. So that's my conclusion. Give it time, and yeah.